Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Her Standards, the show where we bring to you women you need to know. This is your weekly dose of inspiration. On this episode, we are privileged to be in the company of the Member of Parliament of Laikipia North constituency. Remember, we have a special series of Her Standards. We have visited County 031 and we are bringing to you the voices of women you need to know. Women who are doing amazing stuff to impact their community. Women are doing amazing stuff to impact their own lives. I'm very excited to bring to you this episode of Her Standards because we have been welcomed by the Member of Parliament of the region herself. Wanasemaje, mgeni njoo
mwenyeji apone.
Mwenyeji apone, tule nini? Kuku.
Nyama kwa wingi.
Nyama kwa wingi,
kabisa.
Kuku na kadhalika. Karibu mheshimiwa.
Shukrani.
I'm so excited to have you on the show.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Karibu sana.
Yes.
Mmefanya kazi nzuri.
Well, tumejaribu. Japokuwa unaona dunia hii kuna hardship mingi. But that notwithstanding, we've really tried in the last 4 years. Initially, Laikipia North was a hub of insecurity, and we are seeing that going down slowly by slowly. But we can say we are there. Yes.
Have you benefited from domestic tourism of this area? It's my first time here, and I can assure you I'll be back.
Actually, Laikipia North has got some of the breathtaking lodges and sceneries. You should actually sample our hospitality industry.
Okay.
And it is a tourist destination of choice. Laikipia is also known to be a home of retirement of choice by many Kenyans. I'm sure you are still very far away from that.
Niko waiting room.
Niko waiting room. Now you should start thinking about Laikipia.
Okay.
Yes.
Sasa mheshimiwa, nimefurahi sana kuwa na wewe hapa leo.
Asante.
Unajua mara ya kwanza when I actually went out to research about you is must have been 2019. We were doing a collaboration between Her Standards and Voice of America. So the discussion you were having was actually work-life balance. Although a friend of mine corrected me, she told me it is the other way around, life-work balance or life-work integration. So the reason your name came up was because of let's say the famous or the infamous incident of you in Parliament when you took baby to work.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Well, just like yourself, I don't know whether to call it the famous or the infamous, but whichever it is, when I first went to Parliament in 2013, I was sworn in with a 3 weeks old. And to me, I thought I needed to represent the people of Laikipia North. Though I was not elected through the ballot, but I was elected through the list to represent the special interests in Parliament. And I didn't have a minute to waste. And to me, I thought at that point I could not choose between my child and work. And I'm a staunch believer and a supporter and actually a campaigner on the 6 months exclusive breastfeeding. And by then I was just settling in Nairobi. I even didn't have a house per se. I was staying with a friend. So sometimes it is difficult to, even express the milk and leave it there with a crazy Nairobi jam. So to me, I really thought I should not choose between my work and the baby because I could jungle between both.
And you took baby to
work.
I
took baby to work. And after I took my baby to work, I petitioned Parliament that they should actually have a
nursing room,
a room for the nursing mothers. And thanks to God, because now the system is in place. There's a very beautiful room in Parliament. And the young ladies will come after us, and even those who are there now, even the staff, they can be comfortable to take their babies to work and to work without, a lot of disruption of how the baby is doing back at home. And to me, I think as a mother, I should really do that for the well-being of my children, and even as a role model to other women who who think most of the times we've seen women declining promotions, they decline training. Like if you were to go outside the country, they decline because you have a baby. And to me, I thought a baby is a blessing. So why should we treat babies like, they have become a burden to the women who are working? So, yeah.
So you would do it again?
Oh, of course, yeah, if I have to have more babies, I'll do it again.
And did it worry you that, looking at how the reaction that came through you was immense reaction, and looking at, judging by what was coming through, that most of the negative comments were actually coming from people who are like us?
Yes.
Did it bother you, or does it bother you that, okay, I don't believe in what people say that women are their own worst enemies. I don't believe it. I believe it's a narrative that has been coined by men to pull us down. But how come sometimes as women, we are the ones who go through childbirth, we are the ones who take care of children, our nannies run away. How come we are the first to criticize, you're the first to judge?
Well, sometimes I believe the narrative that women are their own worst enemies is actually a narrative that is coined somewhere, of course not by women, and it is sold to women. And if you don't sit down and think, you just buy it without thinking. When I took my baby to Parliament, then there was a lot of criticism, but I could also imagine a lot of it had an origin. Because some people are saying, now look at these women, we are sending them to Parliament. Is this some of the most important things they think they were going to do? And to me, they didn't bother me because I knew that's a very important thing I have to do. I have a duty to bring up my child, a healthy child, and I have a duty to tell other women after me that it is okay, it is doable. You can have your child and you can have your job. So to me, it didn't bother me because it was clear in my mind. And subsequent to that, we have a law now in Parliament that actually instructs that all the public institutions and private institutions have such places for our children. So despite the fact that most of them are not in place, but I know of quite some organizations that have them now. Then if you look at, for example, our children nowadays, a lot of children when they are young, we've seen a lot of brutality to young children. So I'm thinking of a young mother with a 2-week-old baby, or a month-old, or 3 months old, when you are ready to resume job from maternity leave. Then you just have a new house help, and somebody wants you to leave the child with a person you've known barely 2 weeks. Look at the brutality that has been met on our children. So unless somebody speaks out to thousands of those women who don't have that voice, then it will never be said. So to me, I'm happy that I was privileged to be the voice of that voiceless woman.
Somhesh, did you grow up here in Laikipia?
Yes.
How?
I was born and brought up in Laikipia. Actually, where we are seated, where I was brought up, is not very far from here. And I went to school in Laikipia, both high school and primary school. But yes.
How was it growing up in that home setup, in Namsai home setup?
Yes.
Your father was polygamous?
Yes, my father was polygamous. We had 6 mothers. I'll call them mothers.
6?
Yes. And about 42 of us.
Children?
Yes.
I thought I had a big family. Today you have broken our record.
Right. And so, I grew up in a very big family. And the beauty of growing up in a big family, you learn to fend for yourself at a very early age.
True.
And you also learn to go for what you want.
True.
Because, nobody is there to babysit you and to give you on a silver platter.
True.
Yeah.
I read somewhere that you used to fight with boys. Do you still fight with the boys?
Well, when I was growing up...
No, you didn't allow them to intimidate you.
I didn't allow them to intimidate you, to intimidate me, because when I grew up, I don't know whether it was by default of design, most of my sisters were elder, So my age group, among the 6 women, most of them were boys. So I found myself in a group of very many boys, and I will do what the boys will do. Most of the times, actually, I will be looking after the goats or the cows. Actually, during school holidays, up to when I was in Form 4, every time I close school, I know I'll be looking after our goats or cows for the whole holiday. And sometimes when you are in the bushes looking after the animals, you know, the boys will come with the bulls from one herd and make them fight the bulls for the other herd. And you know, sometimes when their bulls beat our bulls, I'll also beat them up, you know. And so yes, I was used to, at a very early stage, to being in a group of boys, doing what the boys do, climb the trees and doing crazy stuff. When I went to school, I also realized that in the class I'm always in the top 5, and all my competitors were boys. And a lot of them, that did not sit well with them. So they tried to bully me, but they realized that I'm not one to be bullied that easily. Yes. So I normally tell people, even when I found myself in this race of men, to me it was not a surprise, because I've been used to getting challenged and challenging them equally.
You have been fighting boys from a tender age.
Yeah,
so fighting
exactly.
big boys, I don't think should not be a problem.
Absolutely.
We'll talk about that in a short while, Mhesh. How rampant was FGM during your time? And how was it, you know, being a young girl? I'm trying to have this mental picture in my mind. How was it being a young girl, you know, surrounded by all these issues? Yeah.
Let me tell you, Queenie, when we were young, to us, FGM was not a problem. Because if you did not go through it, the ridicule. So I remember every time we came for holidays from school, we live in demand. Yeah? Yeah, because every time you come for holiday, when you are going back, a lot of your, you know, classmates have gone through it. So if you have not gone through it, you'll be the odd one out, because it's a very strong cultural activity among the Maasais. So when I was growing up myself, you know, unlike now when there is a lot of publicity, there is a lot of advocacy against FGM, there wasn't. So to us, we went through it, you know, gladly. Yes. And I must say, at some instances, I know of girls who died during the in the process. And you know, sometimes you'll get scared, but you know, at the end of the day, you have to go through it. So that, but when a girl was going through a cut and she died, you know, it was, you know,
hush play.
Hush,
No,
and a lot of the times they will say that she was cursed, or you know, they will have a lot of stories as to why that has happened. So it was something that was really happening openly, and there was no resistance from the community. There was no resistance from the girls.
And how rampant is it right now in your constituency?
Well, right now there is a lot of advocacy on the issue. There is a lot of advocacy from activists, even some of them in the community. Personally, I'm an activist when it comes to issues of FGM and early marriages. But I'm not just an activist per se. I advocate against it. And I even try to, you know, work with the community to reason out with them. We are working with churches. The good thing is the church have really opened up, and a lot of people who are now converting and getting into serious Christianity are abandoning that practice. Yes, it is still there, but I know of a lot of people, especially those who are in church, those who are educated, you know, like our age mates now, those of us who are lucky to go to school, you don't need anybody to tell you that FGM is bad. But still, at the interior, there is quite a lot of work to be done. Sadly, you know, there is a law outlawing FGM, but we are not seeing the enforcement of that law the way we really want to see it happening, because there is presence of government in even village level, because there is the sub-chiefs, there are the sub-areas, you know, these are government representatives. So you will wonder why it should happen right under their noses. Sometimes there is a feeling that probably some of them are collaborators. But yes, it's about 60-70% now. Yes.
I think one thing you've pointed out, which actually makes sense to me personally, is the fact that there's been dialogue.
Yes.
Yeah, because, you know, sometimes you cannot fight some of these harmful cultural practices by openly going against it, because the people who you're dealing with actually believe so strongly in
True.
Yeah, so you have to dialogue, you have to reason with them.
Yes.
And then eventually maybe it can be wiped out.
Mm.
Mheshimiwa, you know we are .com show. We are on social media.
Mm-hmm.
So we are available at KTN Home on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Alternatively, if you want to be part and parcel of this show, please talk to me at Quintambori on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. Apparently I'm on TikTok. My daughter put me there. So if you have any questions from Hesh, remember you can just talk to her directly. She's a politician, and definitely the game of politics has changed. It is now, there's a lot of activity on the digital platform. She's available as Honorable Sarah Korere. So you have any comments, you want to throw a question at her, this is your moment. Log on to those socials and let's have this conversation. Mhesh, it's now the year of elections.
Yes.
How is that for you?
Well, elections in Kenya, it's tough.
Yeah.
But I think it was tougher in 2017.
Yeah.
I think now we are quite ready for it. Unfortunately, you know, sometimes when things come and they looks like there's a conspiracy between nature and other things,
Yeah.
there's a serious drought in the constituency where I represent.
Yeah.
A serious drought.
Yeah.
At the moment, actually, what is bothering me, because we've lost 90% of our livestock to the drought. But what is even bothering me is like if drastic measures are not taken, we can even lose human life. So currently I'm preoccupied, not really campaigning trail as such, but trying to mobilize resources to make sure that at least there is some humanitarian aid to the communities. Yes, but for politics, it's there, we are there, and sometimes they say it's a man game, but we are also manning up. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
I like that. Remember, the word woman also has man in it.
Exactly.
Anyway, Mhesh, when you were growing up in Laikipia County, did you ever imagine that someday you'd be able to represent your community in the August House?
Well, one thing I've never known that I'll represent my community in the August House, but I know I've been a very strong advocate of the people right from my days in school, because I was one person who will not shy off to even point out inadequacies of the administration. Then after university, I remember I was posted to St. Francis Girls as a teacher. And because I was doing a lot of advocacy on anti-FGM and girl child education, I thought the classroom was too small for me to play, because I thought probably when I'm concentrating at school, so many things were happening outside there. So I actually walked out of the classroom just to do with the civil societies. And yes, I think at that stage I was still representing my people. But it was until I joined the defunct Electoral Commission in the year 2004.
Yeah.
And because my work involved around working with the politicians most of the times, and one day I just thought, okay, probably one day I'll contest. By then there was no Laikipia North.
Yeah.
There was Laikipia East and West. And when the defunct Electoral Commission was disbanded, we actually redeployed by government to other departments, but I turned down the job because I thought I was actually posted to Kilifi as a DO. And I thought it is a high time I went back to my community, and I had that feeling that I should be here. I should give back to the community what the community gave me back to me. So I just stuck around doing my own businesses, and of course I continued in the civil society. I was very active during the constitution, the 2010 campaigns.
Okay.
Yeah, the yes and the no.
I remember the banana and the orange.
Yes.
Yes.
And it was after then, you know, I really got involved into, you know, politics firsthand.
Yeah.
Then during now the 2013 general elections is when they came up with the seat of the women representative.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, why don't I give it a shot? I tried, it was not successful, but luckily I got nomination to parliament then, and from then I've never looked back. Yes.
Any regrets?
No regrets. Actually, if there is anything that has been so fulfilling, it's me being in politics. Because sometimes when you are outside and you wish you could do things which you don't have, you know, the platform to do. And today I can say, me being in politics, I've done so many things. Those ones that have been in my mind for very many years, the ones I was saying I wish I could. Today, a lot of I wish I could, I've actually managed to do quite a bit.
Lot.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Anyway, Mhesh, you mentioned something about attempting the woman representative seat for the first time and failing.
Yes.
When we come back, we'll talk about that, because I know the party primaries are around the corner.
Yes.
And so many people will cry premium tears.
Yes.
And I'm sure they need a veteran like you to tell them how to survive,
Yes.
you know, disappointments in politics.
Yes.
So we want to take a short break. We pay some bills. When we come back, we still want to talk about women in politics. How is the environment? What are the political temperatures in Laikipia County, and what plans does our host for today, who is none other than Honorable Sarah Korere, what plans does she have, or what is her political ambition? My name is Queen Tambori, and this is Her Standards. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
We are glad you could join us again for Her Standards with me, Queen Tambori, aka Nayeku.
Yes.
That is my new Maasai name, which have been branded. This is a special episode of Her Standards. We are in County 031, Laikipia County, and today's episode we are hosted by the Member of Parliament of Laikipia North Constituency, the one and only Honorable Sarah Korere. During the first part, we were getting to know her better, but now we want to get deeper into politics. Let us learn from her some of the tips that she is using to succeed as a woman in politics. Remember, after all, this is Her Standards, the show where we are able to give you real-life experiences, inspire you, and of course give you tips for survival and tips for empowering yourself as a woman. Remember, we are available at KTN Home, at Queen Tambori, at Honorable Sarah Korere, and of course you can also talk to Madam Producer herself at Gracie Waweru on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Is there any woman you want us to bring on the hot seat? Talk to us. Apart from that, you can also send a question to our guest for the day. That is none other than Honorable Sarah Korere. Do you have any comment from Mhesh? Is she able to uplift you if you belong to Laikipia North Constituency? This is your point to get in touch. Karibu sana Mhesh to the second part. Before we took a break, tulikuwa tunaongelelea, failing in politics, which is part of life. It happened to you.
Yes.
How did you cope?
Well, how I coped is I stick to the party which I was supporting then, which was URP.
That must have been...
Yeah. And I did a lot of campaigns for the party.
Okay.
I did a lot of work for the party, and it paid off. That is how I got the nomination to parliament. And when I got into parliament, at the back of my mind, I knew I'll not look for another nomination. It's my turn now to hit the ground and hit the ground running. Yeah.
So in short, after the disappointment, because we foresee, and I think Kenyans also foresee a lot of defections, because you feel like your party did not do justice to your candidature. So in your opinion, women in politics, or politicians in general, they should not, that is not the moment to divorce your party?
Well, for me in 2013, I did not actually even go for a party nomination.
Okay.
Because there was kind of a coalition between TNA and URP, and I brokered a deal that will support the TNA candidate. We are facing a lot of, competition from GNU, who are our main opponents then. Then we thought if TNA was to run and URP was to run, then we
would have split the votes.
Split the votes. So I knew it was a negotiated process.
Yeah.
But again, when it comes to party nominations, sometimes I have a feeling, because in 2017 I went through a very, very nasty experience whereby I was running on a Jubilee ticket and I was competing against 5 men. So actually what the men did, they brought one man to go to party nomination with me, and the rest mobilized
their supporters.
You know, they ganged up against me because according to them, their problem was me, so they should do away with me during party nominations, and so that now they can square it out as men. And to me, it was so cumbersome. It was very expensive. I almost lost it, but I fought it. They took me to the political parties tribunal. They took me to court. But to me, I was like, I'm not going to let it go, because I knew if I let it go, you know, this man was not, you know, beating me fairly, because he had borrowed votes. So sometimes I think the political parties and the IBC should streamline the political party nominations, because it doesn't make sense that ODM members are voting in a Jubilee you know, election. It doesn't make sense. And actually that is what happened, and a lot of very good people were lost. You know, some of them ran to independence, like the governor of Laikipia, and he won, in an independent ticket. You know, some of them ran to other parties and they lost, because in some places the party wave is so strong. So sometimes I have a feeling that there's a lot that should be done for political parties. And who aren't you if you are a woman? You are actually losing a lot of very powerful women at the party nominations, party primaries. Yeah, because again, when you look at our parties, most of them, the very important positions are held by men. So at the end of the day, they are the ones who say, and they're the ones who bring in who they want. And you know, sometimes when you look at political parties, they bring in candidates for very many reasons. A lot of them are financiers to those parties. No party will bring a poor woman if they have a man who can even finance their party. So yeah, sometimes it's very difficult.
It's tricky.
It's very tricky.
Yeah, woe unto you if you're a woman who is aspiring for a political seat. I've been privileged to have a conversation or sit down with women who are political aspirants, but they're brand new. They've never done it. They're making their debut. And you know, from having these conversations, you can clearly see that there is not, I would say that they don't have like a strategic plan on how to, you know, clinch the respective positions that they are vying for. Having been there, seen it, done it, and even got a t-shirt, what would you tell these new aspirants, particularly the women? What would you tell them? What kind of strategies can work for them?
Well, one thing I need to tell the women, number one, they should join, you know, the strong parties that, you know, have got a wave where they come from. And they should not just join the parties as, you know, choir singers, right? They should try to penetrate and make sure that they also have their own people in very important positions in the party, so that they are part of that party, you know, because unfortunately in Kenya they say kuna wananchi na wenye nchi. Sasa ukiangalia pia those political parties, kuna wanachama na wenye chama. And I would really ask women to become wenye chama, so that we always don't have women as, you know,
flower
the people
girls
to say ngemis, to clap, and, you know, to make the party colorful. Actually, they should be clapped for when they're seated on the high table. Number two, every woman should look for a role model and an elder sister to hold their hand. I say this because when I first went into Bunge, I must say I didn't have any. But when I met Charity Ngilu, Charity Ngilu mentored me. I remember one day she just pulled me aside when I was getting into a meeting with her. And she told me, okay, so you are nominated, yes. What are you planning to do in 2017? I said, I will run for women rep position. She looked at me in my eyes and said, no, run for MP. And actually that is the day I knew, okay, so I can run for MP. And I said, madam, when did you run for MP? She said, you want to hear my story? I said, yes. And from that moment, she sat me down. She told me things, you know, so many things about what I needed to do, how to get in the ground, how to relate with my people. And from that moment, I think I've learned a lot from her. I also used to share quite a lot with Millie Odhiambo and Peris Tobiko because they made it before me.
Yeah.
And they will tell me what challenges they went through to prepare me for what I'm going to see. And actually, it's like almost everything they told me come to pass. So if I didn't have anybody to prepare me before then, probably I would have broken and given up.
I can
So
imagine.
it's very important for every woman to have an elder sister in politics to mentor them, to hold their hands. Secondly, there are a lot of men nowadays who believe in
True.
women leadership.
True.
Actually, I would ask women who are running for this position to invest in men support. Yes, yes, it comes in handy.
It comes in handy.
Yes.
Yeah, I hope you heard that. You need to find male sponsors, the sponsors that are going to talk to you in rooms where your feet have not gone into, especially if you are a female political aspirant. Mhesh,
Yeah.
there was a clip about a nominated senator doing rounds where she was enjoying herself. She was dancing.
Yes.
It received lots of criticism. What did you think about that?
Well, honestly,
Yeah.
what I remember I just told you now,
Yeah.
when we join political parties, let us not join as dancers.
Okay.
There is nothing wrong for us to sit and let those men dance for us. Because, sometimes, perception is everything.
True.
What was perceived there and what the reactions you've seen in social media is painting women in very bad light, right? And for me, I think women can do better than dancing or shaking their waists in public rallies, right? Because that's a honorable member of the house, just like the men who are cheering on. And so to me, I think, I really don't want to be, but I honestly think we should do better than that.
Do you think that I think the senator was just having a good time? Do you think that female politicians are judged harshly?
Yes, all the time, all the
Yes,
time. I normally tell women all the time we are judged.
Yeah.
We should be the last people to judge ourselves. But again, realistically we have young girls who are looking up to us. Many a times you walk into a conference room and a man taps you na kusema mama tupe chai. I did not go to that conference room as a mama. I went to that conference room as a leader.
Yes.
And if you don't tell them that you are a leader, they will take it to another level and another level and another level. So much as women are judged, there are things that we are judged, we should not judge ourselves, but sometimes we also invite that kind of judgment to ourselves, and it should not be the case.
Oh my God. Oh, what did I want to ask you? You see, the thing about politics, again, is it's not the first time that we have seen a lot of clips that are doing rounds, especially for women dancing. Actually, there was an article that was written about it, that have women lowered, after Beijing, have women lowered the standards of politics to viuno and something.
Yes.
Do you think that looking back at other female politicians we have had, I'm talking the veterans, I'm talking about people like Phoebe Asio, Grace Ogot, Julia Ujambo, there's Grace Onyango, there's so many of them. Do you think that we have lowered our standards as female politicians? Do you think that possibly we should be known for other things instead of being, criticized? Our our campaign messages, how do we deal with that? How do we coin them? Are they do they promote peace? Do they promote development? Or do they put us in a bad light? Because I've listened to so many women, on those campaign trails, and sometimes I shake my head, although I don't know if I'm a politician, but I don't know. Mahesh, what do you think about it?
Well,
where are those standards?
Sometimes when you go out there campaigning, or even when we meet an audience, sometimes you have to know what kind of audience you are meeting. Ordinarily, sometimes we walk into women's alone functions, like during International Women's Day, and sometimes you can crack a joke to spruce up the audience, which is natural, because it's an audience of women, and you know, it's not like it's very serious issues. You are going there for a jig or something like that. But when you go to the campaign trail and you want to sell your agendas, you know, you really want to package your message to look like this woman who knows what you are doing, look like this woman who can bring the change we are yearning for. So yes, to me, I think as women, sometimes we really, because women are judged harshly. Even when you are doing it the best way you know how, you will still be judged. So sometimes I say you don't have to give anybody a reason to judge you. And if you look at the trailblazers, those women who have been there before us, the Phoebe CEOs, the Charity Ngilus, the Mother Karuas, you know, they actually, when they stood up, the whole country knew that there's a woman who have stood up there. But if we trivialize leadership issues, then we are again giving the same society, you know, that for a very long time has been so patriarchal, the same society that have seen brushed off women leadership, now we are giving them the arsenal against us. Yeah. The standard are low. We need to pull our socks. Yeah, we need to work on it. But still, there are a lot of women who are doing very good jobs, and again, it boils back to somebody always looking for what is wrong with the women, not what is right with the women. Because if you were to look at the rights of the women, we'll have so many stories to talk, but nobody hardly talks about the right side of the women. They're also looking for the wrong side.
In my line of work, we say bad news sells first,
right?
You know, and you know, when a woman is involved, it even sells faster.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, Mahesh, I cannot let you go without asking you about, there's an incident that happened in Homa Bay County. We spoke about it earlier, where a political aspirant openly attacked, actually chided her colleagues, people who are also vying in the same position, for a woman representative position. And she was saying that before you can, you know, present your intention, your political ambitions to us, you need to go and you need to show us your man, you need to show us your husband. I mean, has politics gone that low? Is it possible for young, ambitious, hardworking women to seek, you know, political leadership without being asked where their spouse is?
Actually, yes, it is very possible.
Yeah.
We are very young girls, very ambitious, very intelligent, very resourceful. And there's nothing wrong with such a girl, you know, looking for even a governor position. But again, who aren't women? Women will always be judged. When you're in politics and you don't have a husband, it becomes an issue. When you are in politics and you marry outside your community, it becomes an issue. When you are in politics and you have a very supportive spouse, it becomes an issue. So to me, I always tell the women to fix their eyes on the ball. Okay. Right? You know what your objectives are, go for it. Because before long, they will realize that they don't have to know whom you are going out with. They don't have to know whom you are dating. They don't have to know who you divorced, who you remarried, whether you are single, whether you are married. Let them identify you by your work. And when you fix your eyes on the ball, those noises die out naturally. Yes.
Young woman, young man who is vying for a political seat, remember what Mahesh said, you need to put your eyes on the ball, forget about the noisemakers. Mahesh, what do you want? What would you like to be remembered for? Before you tell us your political ambitions, whether uko ndani, uko wapi.
Well, what I want to be remembered for, remember I'm representing one of the quite difficult terrains in this republic.
Yes.
You know, Laikipia North, sometimes when you are in Laikipia North, you really don't know whether you are in Laikipia or you are in Samburu or Isiolo. Because a lot of people, I'm sure even you, before you came to here, you thought Laikipia was Nyahururu and Nanyuki.
Trust you me.
Yes. So I would want to be remembered for two things. Number one, I want to be remembered for the efforts I put in ensuring that every child in Laikipia get access to education.
Wow.
Because sadly, before I was elected in this constituency, I found 2 sub-locations, a whole sub-locations with an occupation of 4,000 people without a single public institution, not one. And you know, ironically, leaders will go to Nairobi and say every child must go to school. And how do you go to school where the government have not made any school? And to date, I've started more than 18 schools within the last 4 years, which has got an enrollment of more than 3,000 students. So to me, it gives me a lot of gratification because I ask myself, if I was not a member of parliament today, probably those 3,000 children will be languishing somewhere in the woods, right? So I really want to be remembered for my efforts in education, and secondly, for my efforts in peaceful coexistence. Laikipia North is very cosmopolitan, and initially there used to be a lot of mistrust and ethnic conflicts. But if you look at Laikipia North today, save for some very ugly incidences last year, it's been quite peaceful, and there's a lot of collaboration among the different ethnic groups. There's a lot of collaboration even between the local communities and the investors, because for me, I know for a community to exist, everybody needs everybody else. The foreign investors need the local community needs the investors. So the moment you develop a co-working relationship between them, then it is for the good of all of them. So me, I want to be remembered for peace and education.
Okay. Yeah. How does 2022 look like for you?
Well, it is tough.
It's tough.
Yeah, because, you know, for the first time in history, Laikipia has elected a woman member of parliament in a very patriarchal community. So you can imagine there have been men who have been doing nothing but planning for the last 4 years
how to bring
me down. But I can also assure you, I've been planning for the last 4 years on how to stay on. So it's going to be tough.
Battle Royale.
We are there.
Battle Royale.
We are there.
How are the political temperatures?
Well, the political temperatures, especially now, you know, normally during transition is very, very tricky because there are normally two, you know, competing interests. And basically in Laikipia, there is the Azimio, the UDA thing. And to me, it will be a very big statement because I'm defending my seat. Of course, on a Jubilee ticket where I was elected. I know a lot of people we elected with in Jubilee have migrated, you know, to other outfits. But to me, I believe it's about my work, right? So before I sell any outfit, I sell what I have done for the people. Number two, for me, it's about who will take best interest of the people of Kenya and the people I represent. So yes, it's gonna be tough, but yes, we are there.
You should expect an earthquake.
Oh yes, actually on Saturday there will be a real earthquake, not the tremors we saw in Bomas.
It's been quite a pleasure having you. Thank you. It's been quite a pleasure having you. Laikipia has been good to us. The weather has been good to us. Tunasemanga nini mgeni siku ya kwanza and then mgeni siku ya pili. You know, we want to come back.
Karibuni.
We would like to come back. Hopefully not even for work, to just have a good time.
Just come and relax. There are so many beautiful places in Laikipia and very beautiful people.
Wow.
Yes.
Asante sana.
Shukran.
Thank you for your work in Laikipia. Thank you for inspiring this generation, the next generation. I think you'll forever be remembered in history books because you are the first woman elected member of parliament in Laikipia.
True. Yeah, that's true.
That's really amazing. Asante sana.
Shukran.
Now we want to wind up. Remember, this is Her Standards with me, Queen Tambori. Today, we are being hosted by the member of parliament, Laikipia North constituency, and that is Honorable Sarah Korere. This is the one and only Sarah Korere who caused, you know, there was an incident in parliament, if you remember very keenly, but that incident actually bore fruits. And today, other female members of parliament and parliamentarians are actually enjoying the fruits of her labor. Remember, we are available at KTN Home. You can talk to me directly, Queen Tambori. You can even reach Mhesh on our social media platforms. But then, of course, there's one more person who is the Madam Producer of Her Standards. She's called Grace Waweru. You can find her on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Remember, this is your show. This is your weekly dose of inspiration, where we bring in stories of women who have impacted the community, who have impacted their own lives. If you have a comment, do not hesitate to hit us up anytime, and we'll be able to get back to you. From us here at KTN Home, including those who are seated behind the scenes, they know themselves. We just want to say thank you so much. Asante sana. See you next week, same time, and kwaheri.